Welcome to the UPIKE Coaches Show here on the UPIKE Sports Network. I'm Alec Morgan, joined today by football head coach Corey Fipps. The Bears 2-0 moving into Saturday's contest at Bethel. Bethel, of course, 13th in the country, your first road test of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good ball club. Coach Jasper's team is always really physical, really gets after some of the things we do well. So we're excited to see if we've got some answers for him this week.
So let's talk about the last week. A 47-37 victory over Cumberland, who was receiving votes in the national poll in an absolute lights-out offensive performance. Had some awesome contributions from the defense as well. And once again, we saw the same trend. The Bears stronger in the second half. Really, did you feel like you put it all together in that game?
Yeah, I don't know if we put it all together, but it's as close as we've been since we've been here. You know, if you look at it, our guys just executed a pretty simple game plan. They came out and played exactly what we thought they would in the secondary, and our quarterback and receivers really executed well, and our running backs and offensive line protected well.
Let's talk about Lee Kirkland. 579 yards, 4 touchdowns. His performance earning him Mid-South Conference and NAIA National Player of the Week, becoming the first player to do so since Hoskins back in 2011. You can't say enough about what that guy's done.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he understands the system really well, gets us in and out of plays. He can get to that third, fourth, fifth read and some of our more vertical concepts down the field. So it was really a good game for him. You know, there were very few plays he would have liked to have back in that game. So
with 3 receivers with 100-plus yards, looking back, I couldn't find a time where we've done that. You know, it could have happened before, but either way, really impressive. You've got guys like Alex Sanders, Rashad Brown, Derrick Griffith, all with 100-plus yards, multiple with a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, if you look at it across all college football, all divisions, you'd probably be hard-pressed to find 3 guys that put as much work in production as those 3 guys did this past Saturday. So it just kind of shows you as the defense tried to double cover and take guys away, other guys found opportunity because of it.
So keep talking about the last game. We had big defensive contributions. Cameron Miller, of course, 100-yard interception return, which we did confirm is the longest in school history, beat out an 89-yard interception return for a touchdown back in 2014, I believe. That secondary really came together in the second half to help you guys out.
Yeah, they did. There were some good things that happened there. You know, prior to that play, we had really kind of put ourselves in a bad situation, and he really bailed us out. So gave him the short field and had the opportunity to get that ball back that I think it was going to be 7 the other way, probably not. But Mighty Mouse, as we call him, has got some speed on him and took it to the house.
What do you think of the defense's performance overall? You've got Travion Pope with 11 touchdowns. He actually comes into the record book now, I think 4th or 5th with single tackles in a game that's solo and assisted tackles. So he's having a great season. You've got contribution from guys like Seneca Fuller and Jonathan Morton. The defense was good in the second half of week 1 and looked like better in week 2.
Yeah, it's amazing in our 3-4 attack. You know, you just got guys that really get free because of the work of the defensive line, keeping guys off them. So it's been really good. Those guys have played well. You know, I think it goes back to Charles Friday and our strength conditioning program that, in the second half of both these games, we were the better conditioned team and had the opportunity to, kind of push things forward and just spread that gap out, extend that lead as we needed to. And really the fourth quarter was just kind of slow it down, take it easy, and get out of the game with a win.
Has the playbook evolved at all from where you originally thought you'd be coming in, and has it changed for the players, or have they just gotten better at executing?
Our offense is really pretty simple in terms of what we do. Most people that run our system, the air raid would tell you that we really have, very few formations, very few concepts, but I think really what's happened now is the nuance, the details. Our guys have figured out that if I give a little head lean this way, if I can push the route a little further this way, I can create more space back in the middle of the field, and that was a lot of it. And, we also knew that they were going to be pretty vanilla on first down, so we took some shots, kind of like walk-off home runs, coming out on first down and swinging for the fence. If you look at a lot of the guys that are really contributing, you've got some guys who, this is their 12th game in the system now, dating back to last year. So, I know in sports and we'd like to really talk about this season, but if you look at last year and the opportunities they had to struggle and find some success here and there, I think those things are all kind of compounding now. And And nothing's changed from last year, from our install to this year, but our guys just understand it better. I keep hearing out of Lee, oh, I see that now. Oh, I understand that now. I'm like, yeah, the light's going off, man. It's good stuff for him.
So after the last game, you guys climb into the number one spot in total offense per game with 598.5, leading the conference in that category as well, leading the conference in passing and receiving with less games played than most teams. How do you keep carrying that momentum forward?
Well, I think we need to not get too caught up in stats, just run our system. The past 2 weeks we haven't been playing for stats. It's really just the defense has dictated where the ball goes. This may be a week where the box dictates that we run it and we rush for 300 and the passing numbers come down, but the wins keep moving forward. So that's really what we got to focus on is those things. I love stats as much as anybody. They're really cool to look back and say, hey, this is the first time we've done this in over a decade, or some of those different things we've talked about, you and I. But really, quite honestly, Lee Kirkland is such a humble kind of naive kid that, he says, Coach, I didn't think they'd let me be Conference Player of the Week twice. And then he said, oh, National Player of the Week, that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing, Coach. So, it's just one of those deals that, as we continue to push, if guys won't get focused on that, we're going to continue to have great stats.
So we'll table the Bethel talk for the end of the show where we'll talk with Coach about the upcoming week. For now, we'll move on. We've got Derrick Griffith, Alex Sanders, and Rashad Brown joining us next here on the UPIKE Coaches Show. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you.
So what we're looking at here is your area right here in your neck. We're identifying where you have subluxation. So what we're going to do is come to this side. We're going to come right here. Great adjustment. Right here. We're going to come in. Great adjustment. And right here, great adjustment.
Welcome back to the Football Coaches Show. I'm here with this all-star group of wide receivers. We got Derrick Griffith, Rashad Brown, and all the way to the left is Alex Sanders. 3 guys finishing with above 100 yards rushing in an awesome performance and a big win against Cumberland. What do you think, guys?
The receiving core and the running backs, we all just came together and tried to execute the game plan.
I think it was a good game plan all around. Just being able to run our offense the way we do, lead behind, just orchestrating everything. So I think everything is according to plan.
So have you guys gotten more comfortable with the playbook, or have you just gotten better at executing it? Has it evolved at all for you guys?
I think it really started with us in the spring. Just really being locked in and wanting to prove a point and really just honing in on what we want to be as ourselves, finding our identity and making sure that we stay true to ourselves.
Yeah, so go ahead, Alex. Well, I was going to talk about you next. Your role has changed a lot from being the primary back on the ground to now you're coming out of the backfield, receiving a lot of passes. That's something you did a little bit last year, but they've relied heavily on that for you this year. Do you enjoy that role? Of course you do if you're getting more production, obviously, for the first part of the question. Second part is, how does that change your mentality going into the game?
It doesn't really change it at all. It just, I accepted it. Whenever I got that opportunity, I took it and I accepted it, and I'm playing it to my best ability, and we're succeeding with it. So, I want to keep rocking with it.
Yeah. So like we were talking off air, this is the first time the team has received votes since the end of the 2016 season. You guys are the best offensive team in the country, the best passing team in terms of yards per game in the country, and the best passing team in the conference, hands down. You guys are the best receiving core in the conference as well. Coach said, we don't want to get caught up in stats and all that stuff, but I'm sure that is good vindication for you guys to keep it moving. Good, easy to keep your head down and keep going when good things are happening like that.
Yeah, that's something we talked about in the spring, like being the best offense, and we knew the talent we had, but we knew we had to put in the work and continue to gel and put it together. So after we came back in the fall camp, we just kept it rolling, kept it going. Right now, it's showing up on the game days.
Like Coach said, we try not to make sure it don't get in the way with anything. Of course we're gonna acknowledge it, but we just try to make sure we know who we are, and that's just be the best that we can be. And if it didn't turn out to be the best receiver coordination, that's just it turned out on us and believe in us.
So talk about playing behind a guy like Lee Kirkland. You guys were all like, our guy Lee, NAI Offensive Player of the Week, 2-time Mid-South Conference Offensive Player of the Week. You guys are a big part of that. What's it like to play with him?
Playing Well, Lee amazing. He amazing. I mean, we call him Lee Bean. Like I've been Roethlisberger with his size, but it's amazing being able to play with Lee. I mean, just his confidence, everything he brings to the table, his understanding of the offense, and then his biggest understanding of his receivers. Like he really understands us and know we all different and we do things how we want to do it. But he's able to adjust with each receiver, so it's special for him.
Yeah, I feel like he knows our strengths, like as receivers, and so like after a play, we could go talk to each other and like get on the same page, make sure we're on the same page. And he always communicated with us, and he always give us a chance.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Bethel. They're limiting opponents to 228 yards per game, so they're going to be a big challenge. You're on the road for the first time, playing a top 15 team in the country. They're number 13. What's the scout been, and how have you guys prepped for this game?
I mean, it's always respect our opponent. We know to a lot of people it's a big game, but to us it's another Saturday to go prove who we are. I mean, the game plan is set, the scout report, we know everything we need to do, we understand what we need to do. Everything should just, as long as it goes according to plan, we expect the same outcome we've been getting the last 2 Saturdays.
Yeah. I think we have a great game plan going into the week, and just like we said, we want to be the best, and we know that they've been limiting teams, so we're taking that personal. We know that we got to put the team on our back to go get the done. And it's our first road game, so that's always fun.
Sure.
1 week at a time. We're just taking it 1 week at a time. We're just chopping the wood as we go.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If there's nothing left to talk about, let's get a win on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
After this, we'll be back with Cameron Miller here on the UPIKE Coaches Show.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
Okay.
Whoa, you want my sauce? Get your hands off my wall. I got the recipe. Hit 100 degrees.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. Coach, taking on a ranked team, your first road game of the season, and this team, Bethel, holding opponents to 228 total yards of offense, 80 through the air. We were talking off air. They haven't had a true test with a highly able team like our offense is, able to high octane throw it around. Is the game plan changing at all?
You know, obviously every week there's some tweaks and some differences. You know, structurally what you're going against. You know, this week, you know, a little bit more 3 down than 4 down than we saw last week. They do some different things in the coverage, in the secondary. They've got some great players, really well coached. I think the big thing for us is, you know, just going on the road, treating it like a business trip and not a field trip, and, you know, not getting too full of ourselves. And, you know, when you're on the cusp of really kicking things into high gear, you know, being a team that's just outside the top 25 receiving votes, and the opportunity to go on the road and upset a nationally ranked team in the top 15, you know, when you have that chance, you really got to take advantage of it. You know, that's why we jokingly kind of call this league the SEC of small college football, because you're going to find some of the best well-coached teams throughout the Southeast at our level right here.
Yeah, and I think you've done a good job of instilling that one game at a time attitude, because all 3 of the wide receivers we just talked with were like, you know, we know it's a big game, but it's also just another game for us. We need to go out on the road and execute and do what we do. And I asked him how they prep any differently. He's like, the game plan's the same. We're going to come out and try to do what we've been doing week to week. And are you still finding things out about the team as you move ahead? Of course, you always are as a coach.
Yeah, especially, you know, the first couple of weeks we've had some guys a little beat up, banged up, you know, a little bit of, you know, sniffles here and there, so you got to rep some other guys, and you look at it and you see guys that can do other things for you. And so we're still moving guys around, still finding things, and still finding our depth. And, you know, so I think absolutely, you know, I think we're still finding stuff out about ourselves and our coaching staff and our team every day, and that's what makes this fun. You know, if you had arrived, you know, I don't know, I guess I'm going to sound crazy, but, you know, I tell guys in the recruiting process, if you go and play at the University of Alabama, what do you really bring to the table? They're really going to remember you 20 years from now. You know, if we could be the first team to you know, really kick this into gear, you know, 20 years from now when they have the reunion, you're all old fat guys, you know, like myself, they're gonna remember you. You're going to leave a mark, and, you know, you have an opportunity to build a legacy here. Coaches prior to us, players prior to us have had some really good moments, but if we could build this into a stable driving factor in the conversation of who's going to the national playoffs, who's got a chance to win it, then I think these guys will really have an opportunity to say they left their mark on UPIKE football.
And you said you didn't want to get caught up in stats, but this is something that goes along with what you just mentioned. The first time the Bears are receiving votes since the end of the 2016 season, where they, of course, won the divisional playoff in the Mid-South Conference. That kind of seems like vindication because not both games this season have been a walk in the park. You know, they opened up last season and they were, you know, you guys performed really well, but they were easy games to win for you guys at home, and it was comfortable. This year you guys have been forced out of your comfort zone, opening the season with a tough first half against Kentucky Christian. Cumberland, a really good team, receiving votes in the national poll as well, and you guys are still moving along. Lee Kirkland, National Player of the Week, best offense in the country. It seems like all of these things are slowly starting to piece together, and the guys' attitude is like, head down, get back to work.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we want. You know, it's kind of funny. I don't think people can really get behind the fact that when you throw the football a significant amount, you're not blue collar. You know, or they guess that you're not blue collar, but our guys really have a blue collar approach to what we're doing offensively, and you know, we instead of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, you know, we're throwing touchdown strikes from 20 to the opposite goal line. So, but our guys do have that kind of yeoman, workman, Eastern Kentucky mountain boy football in them. So.
I love that. So talk about this week, their secondary, a really talented secondary. Now we'll see, this is their first real test of the season. Have you keyed in at all if the passing game is not there? Are we going to rely on anybody different, any different game plan, or is it, you've got some talented backs that can get upfield?
Yeah, there's some box numbers there to indicate that we'll have a chance to run it. And, if they come and take those things away again like they did last week, then we'll have a chance to go over the top. So game plan's always just predicated on numbers. Are the box numbers loaded or unloaded? And then everything else takes care of itself. So we got a few wrinkles, a few little things that maybe we haven't done in a few years that I think will really help us this week. So we're excited about that. But, I tell our guys, too, the years we've led the nation in passing at the different places we've been, you got to always prepare. It's more about you than them because we could very well get out there and their entire game plan is different. Their coverages are different. What they're trying to do is different. So, we just got to be ready for anything and make sideline adjustments. People talk about halftime adjustments, but in our system it's usually more about that first series when you get to the sideline, you get to the whiteboard, and you say, okay, this is what they're really doing. Don't chase ghosts. Don't imagine things. There's not 12 DBs out there. You got to get the guys settled in and talk them through it, and then usually it all starts to click again.
And another positive you have is a guy like Lee Kirkland who can remain that cool, calm, and collected. He can throw an interception and, like in the last game, comes right back on the next drive, first play, 74-yard touchdown pass. It's unfazed.
And that shows that we have faith in him that, no, we're not asking anybody to be perfect. We're asking you to play your best game yet. And, so when he made that mistake, we came right back and dialed it up, scored a touchdown, and everything was good. But also, I thought it's funny, I told James Collier on the live stream, that we jokingly kind of refer to him in the coaching staff room that he's Eeyore. He just kind of don't bother, just kind of steady Eddie. So, Lee looks at me this week and says, Coach, I was Eeyore for Halloween as a kid. I said, well, that's very fitting for you. So we're excited to see him just find a little bit of fiery emotion in this game when it gets tight, because he's going to have to lead us. He is the field general.
So give us a little nugget. We'll talk away from the X's and O's. Give us a little nugget about going on the road for the first time as a coaching staff and as a team.
It's always this scary thing, right? Do the kids take it like it is a business trip, or does it become, a field trip away from campus? So, our kids here have done pretty good. We travel first class. We stay in great hotels and great food, and, our buses have Wi-Fi and satellite TV. It's not like high school where we're hopping on a old yellow dog, roll down the window, and hope we get there. We think it's going to be a good experience. It's about a 7-hour trip for us. Central time zone kind of screws you up a little bit. It means you got to get up a little bit earlier and execute a little bit sooner. But outside that, I think our guys are ready for it. Good thing about McKenzie, Tennessee is there is nowhere to stay there. So we'll stay in Jackson, Tennessee, get a good meal, and then drive about an hour up the road. As they say, there's no good way to get there from here.
And a lot of people say that about Pikeville. I don't know if that's fitting, but people say it about the same way.
This is the big city, man. This is the big city.
I guess
they don't know what they're talking about.
So the Bears Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central in McKenzie, Tennessee, looking for 3-0 against 13-ranked Bethel.
Absolutely.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank
Safe
you.
travels.
Appreciate it, guys.
And that will do it for week 3 of the UPIKE Coaches Show. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We will give you live updates and stats on upikebears.com after the Bears showdown this weekend.